where we stand. Let's face it, the chances of actually transcending life and death are slim. Clearly, we have no desire to let go of life. Instead, we are completely committed to it. Because of this, we tend to ignore and avoid even the thought of death. But we really don't know what life is and have no understanding or acceptance of death beyond fantasies and ideas. That said, let's proceed. Throughout this study, you will encounter many unconventional and unknown facts about your experience that will blow your mind. And you will be exposed to realities that almost no human even knows are possible. You should have many insights along the way. The journey itself will be transformative, but unless you attain the deepest level of consciousness, the final goal will remain elusive. Even having had a few enlightenment experiences won't do it. You'll have to have a much deeper level of consciousness to accomplish such a goal. Shy of that, however, you should still have many insights and end up with a roadmap for pursuing this level of consciousness, given you wish to commit to such a thing. So the study and journey, even though extremely challenging, is worth the effort. Commensurate with your work on transcending life and death, you will also discover how to be complete while living life. This alone will make a huge difference in your life and life experience. So even if you fall short of the ultimate goal, you'll benefit greatly by delving into the assertions to come. Throughout this study, from time to time, I will draw from past material when helpful or needed to prepare you for more difficult material to come, because many of the upcoming assertions will not only be new but unprecedented and will need a shared foundation in order to proceed effectively. Subject. Life and death is obviously about existence and non-existence, but for us, it is really about our existence and the end of our existence. This connects the subject of living and dying to what we experience as ourselves. If we are not conscious of a nature that is not alive and cannot die, then we will just cease to exist at death. Are you conscious of anything about you that is independent of life and death? Most people aren't. Transcending life and death is a very difficult and very uncommon thing to do because it has no social rewards, is not related to what serves the self, and isn't a part of our culture or experience in any way. The task in front of us is immensely difficult and not at all popular or common. People do not want to confront or even think about death as a real inevitability for them. We push it into a future that will never arrive. Yet, it will. We don't want to confront this because it means an end of ourselves completely, despite all the myths and bullshit to the contrary. There is a relationship between our denial and avoidance of death and our sense of isolation and aloneness. This may seem like a stretch, but it isn't. Still, we need to know more about self, other, and death in order to connect the dots in this case. Of course, attempting to tackle this ultimate and most fundamental subject matter, your existence and non-existence, there needs to be a good deal of contemplation on your part. And this contemplation must take place throughout the communications to come. Take each assertion made and contemplate it until you can find it in your experience or have an experience about its nature. You need to become immersed in the experience in which you live, as well as grasp your experience in ways that are true, but inconsistent with your normal way of perceiving things. Death is a doorway to consciousness. We might wonder, what is the use of focusing on death? It seems a dreary subject. The only reason it seems dreary, however, is because we are wed to life and persisting within it. This seems like a no-brainer. What else would we be wed to? Yet, how can we really understand life unless we understand death? After all, they are the flip sides of the same coin. Perhaps we'd prefer to focus on improving our lives, and maybe the only reason we engage in pursuing an increase in consciousness about anything is thinking it will improve our experience in some way. For tackling the depth of this work, however, we have to get past such a limited focus. Remember, Ramana Maharshi and Gautama Buddha were both motivated by death and not the search for enlightenment, and certainly not the pursuit of improving their lives. As a teenager, Ramana was affected by his father's death and became obsessed with his own. Lying on the floor, he went through acting out the process of dying, asking what is left when this goes or that goes. In the end, he had a deep enlightenment of his true nature. When he got cancer in his old age and simple treatments failed, he refused more serious attempts to save his life, apparently saying, "Why are you so attached to this body? Let it go. And where can I go? I am here." Such a disposition may need more explanation and understanding in order for us to grasp what is being said deeply enough to also free ourselves from death. So we will do just that. Siddhartha Gautama, usually known as Buddha, was a prince, and as a young man led a sheltered life. When upon leaving his palace and confronting old age and death for the first time, he ended up making his mission in life to deeply understand and become free of both life and death. This led him to the deepest possible consciousness humanity has acknowledged. We also see in the story of Jesus that he allowed himself to die rather than to save himself, showing a transcendence of self-survival. It seems some of the heavy hitters in consciousness work began with a focus on death. Death does cut through all the spiritual fantasies and bullshit people can get caught up in. Perhaps it can offer a doorway into the real nature of existence.